Hey everybody, it's Keough with a Google Minute. This week I'm going to talk about a couple of changes made to Google Forms for the school year of 2017. There are more that I'm going to show you today, but these are the ones that I find are probably more useful than the others. So first of all, if you're collecting your email addresses from the parents of your students, now there's a data validation that requires them to, if you're asking them for their email address, that you get it back in email address format. So you would choose text and contains an email address. So it's going to make sure that it comes back to you in, whatever their name is at yahoo.com or Comcast.net or whatever it is, that you're collecting it in email address format. Another one is for website addresses. So if you're making a list of website addresses for teachers or whatever, you can choose again valid response validation text and URL. So just to be warned that you have to put in the whole email address. You can't just put like, seekonschools.org. It has to be the HTTP or HTTPS colon backslash www dot whatever .com. It has to be in that format or it's not going to work. Another thing is now there is a checkbox grid, and we've always had a multiple choice grid, and I'm going to show you the difference between the checkbox grid and the multiple choice grid. So if I'm setting up meetings with my team, or I want to do some professional development with the teachers and I want to find out what days, what times work best for them, and I can just look at the data really quickly. I'm going to set up a checkbox grid, and I will show you the difference. I'm going to go view my form, and I'll go to the next section. And this is a checkbox grid, and I can check off multiple items in each row, where in a multiple choice grid, you only can check off one. All right, so that's the big difference. If you're, if you're making a quiz for students and they have to choose one, then this is the way to go. And that would be the multiple choice grid. If you're looking for multiple answers or options, then you're going to choose the checkbox grid. And I think that's a really great feature this year. Another really great feature is if you go under your More button and go down, you'll see preferences. So this year there are some preferences, which I think is great. When you first see this, I think they will all be unchecked, but you can make these a default for all your forms that you send out. So if you're sending out a lot of quizzes and you're making a lot of quizzes, you can use these default for all your quizzes. So if you, like me, I sometimes forget to collect my students' names. Emails are a great option. Make all the questions required, so no more sliding over that little button to make this required question. Make them all required. And your default quiz point value, so you don't have to go in there and keep adding point values to the quiz. Make it 1, 2, 3, whatever it is that you make your quiz value, and save it. And now every time you make a quiz, those defaults will be in there, and you can change them at any time at all. The other thing is now you can leave feedback for your students for their questions. So if I go to responses, I've already have a response to a question. When you click in the responses, you will get a summary. If you want to leave feedback for individual questions for individual students, you're going to click on individual, and you will see the answers that the student has given, and I can leave individual feedback. And save. And now my student, when he's viewing the quiz, will get back the feedback for that question. So that to me is also a great feature for this year, is you're able to reorder your section. So by clicking on your More button at each section, you can click on Move Section, and you can easily reorder the sections and put them in any order that you want. And speaking of reordering, if you go to your apps launcher, this year you can actually move around your apps, put them in any order that works for you, which I think is great. So let's go back to our form and we'll just go recap what we went over today. So if you want to move your sections around, you just click on the three dots in the section and you can reorder the sections in any way you want. So I'm going to put this one up and click save when I'm done. I'm going to preview my form so we can show you the responses. So if I'm doing an email address, I want to collect something in email format. You can see that it has to be a valid email address. So they want the @ and the domain and the .com, .net, whatever it is. The website address, it has to, if I just did www.Keough, for instance, .com, it's still saying it has to be a valid URL. It has to have that HTTPS or just HTTP colon // and now it's going to work. Again, you can leave feedback for your students on individual questions. And the difference between the checkbox grid and the multiple choice grid. A multiple choice grid, you only can check off one in each row. With the checkbox grid, you can choose multiple in each row, leave things blank, it doesn't matter. And then we'll submit it. And that's it. So until next time, this is Kathy Keough. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions or comments or ideas for a Google Minute, just send me an email. I know it's a little longer than usual, but I think it's worth it. Thanks a lot.